Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are looking at something that, for many people, might just be the hidden smoking gun behind a cardiovascular event.
Exactly. We're talking about lipoprotein A, or LPA.
And this deep dive comes from a question from a listener, Elton, a stroke survivor. He had a stroke at 65, and at the time, his LDL cholesterol was 123.
Which this system, called normal and acceptable.
Right. But years later, he gets his LPA checked, and the number is 159 nanomoles per liter.
Mm. And that changes the entire picture. It explains so much.
So let's start there. That number, 159, the lab report says anything over 125 is high and optimal is under 75. But what makes LPA so dangerous? It's not just another form of bad cholesterol, is it?
No, not at all. That's the key thing to understand. It's really a double threat. It does contribute to arterial plaque like LDL does, but it also has this unique structure that actively promotes blood clotting.
Ah, so that's the direct stroke connection. It makes the blood stickier.
Precisely. Think of it as sticky plaque that's also pro-clotting. So a number like 159 strongly suggests this hidden mechanism was at play all along.
Okay, so that brings us to the new research you flagged. A huge study in JAMA cardiology. Nearly 28,000 women followed for almost 30 years.
A really powerful study. And yes, they get into the specifics of risk.
The first thing I noticed, though, is the units are different. They use milligrams per deciliter, not nanomoles per liter. That can be confusing.
It is confusing. It's part of the reason LPA has been so hard to standardize. But the main takeaway is universal, no matter the units. The study shows we probably need to radically lower the thresholds for what we consider safe.
How so?
Well, they found that the risk for general cardiovascular events started to increase at LPA levels above just 30 milligrams per deciliter.
Which is pretty close to that optimal cutoff of 75 nanomoles per liter on our listener's lab report.
Exactly. It suggests that even what we used to call optimal might carry a significant long-term risk.
So let's get specific because this is about stroke. What did the research say about ischemic stroke risks in particular?
This is the critical finding. It found that the increased risk for ischemic stroke and cardiovascular death only really took off at the very high levels.
And how high is very high?
We're talking above 120 milligrams per deciliter, the 99th percentile. So when you have a result like 159 nanomoles per liter, you are squarely in that high-risk zone for the most serious events.
So the smoking gun is confirmed. That acceptable LDL of 123 was probably made much more dangerous by this massive underlying LPA level.
Without a doubt, the LPA acts as a risk amplifier.
So here's the million-dollar question. You can't really fix a high LPA, right? It's genetic.
Right.
So what's the actionable knowledge here?
That's the crucial takeaway. Since we can't lower the LPA itself with widely available drugs yet, its presence forces a complete change in strategy.
Meaning?
It means that LDL of 123 is no longer acceptable. Not even close.
Yeah.
Finding an LPA of 159 means you have to get every other risk factor to rock bottom.
So you treat the other numbers super aggressively.
Super aggressively. You push the LDL down, maybe below 55 milligrams per deciliter, with whatever it takes. High-intensity statins, PCSK9 inhibitors. You don't manage average risk anymore. You aim for absolute risk elimination because you know this massive genetic factor is always there.
It seems so clear that LPA is this potent marker that just demands clinical attention.
It really does.
Yeah.
And this research just validates why screening for it is so important. It can completely change the course of prevention for a person.
So a final thought for you to mull over. If we know that very high LPA is so tightly linked to a 30-year risk of stroke, and even moderate levels raise long-term risk, how long will it be until LPA screening becomes a routine, mandatory part of preventative care for everyone, regardless of what their standard cholesterol test says?